Are you ready for the ultimate boho crafting marathon? Because today I'm squeezing in 5 DIYs in one video. That's right, 5 videos, 1 cup of coffee, and probably 3 times I'm questioning my life choices. But trust me, these crafts are so good that by project number 2, you're going to want to redecorate your whole space.
Hey friends, welcome to Twirl Craft Studio, where we turn everyday things into, oh wow, did you make that? Grab your crafting supplies, maybe a snack, and let's make something beautiful together. First up, these super boho drink coasters. These adorable boho drink coasters. The kind that make your iced coffee feel like it's on vacation. Seriously, look how cute this is. And here's the twist. These coasters look super fancy, but they take about as long as waiting for your coffee machine to warm up. Plus, they're beginner-friendly, affordable, washable, and they add instant boho chic to your table. So if you want your home to whisper, yes, I own plants and I drink aesthetic beverages, then let's get started. You'll need cotton cord, macrame cord works best, jute twine, hot glue or fabric glue, scissors, a comb for the fringe, and a cup of coffee, because crafting without caffeine should be illegal. All right, we're beginning in the middle. Grab your jute twine and start rolling it into a tight little cinnamon roll, or a mini rope donut, whatever speaks to your soul. Add tiny dabs of glue as you spiral so it stays together. Keep going until the center is about the size of the bottom of your glass. Tip: if your roll starts looking like it partied too hard and got wonky, just gently squish it back into shape. We've all been there. Now for the fun part, cut a bunch of equal length pieces of cotton or jute cord. Mine are about 4 inches. We're going to attach them all around the edge, one by one, like building a tiny macrame tutu. Just loop each piece around the jute rim and pull tight. You start by folding the cord in half, then placing it over the top of the rope and looping it under. Once you have done enough loops to go around the entire spiral, then it is time to glue it closed. Make sure you are pulling it tight as you are gluing around the spiral. Try not to put too much glue on, as we want it to not be visible on the surface. Then cut the rope and glue it. Next, take out your comb and start spreading the fibers of the cord or twine. This is when the coaster starts getting its personality. Okay, time to give our little boho creation a trim. I trimmed them just over 1/2 inch. Don't worry, every coaster gets at least one bad haircut before it gets it right. Mine definitely did. Comb again, trim again, admire. Repeat until you feel like a proud parent. Moment of truth, place your glass on the coaster. And that's it. One adorable boho coaster done. Make a whole set for your home, gift them, or sell them if you're feeling crafty entrepreneurial. Next, we have this chic clay, copper, and macrame cord wall hanging. First up, grab your self-drying clay. Roll it out to about 1 4-inch thick. Not too thin, not too chunky, just the perfectly craftable zone. Take a cup, lid, or bowl and cut out a circle. If your circle looks more ovalish, don't worry. Mine almost always does. That's called character. Take your wooden mold and press it into the clay. Try and press it down as even as possible. Now poke 2 little holes. One at the top for the cord, one at the bottom for our copper swirl moment. Smooth the edges with a bit of water. This is the part where we pretend we are pottery pros. Just ignore the fingerprints. Let it dry completely. Yes, completely. I know, waiting is hard. Stay strong. Once it's dry, let's paint. I'm going with bold turquoise and teal petals, because why not look like a walking boho Pinterest board? I am using paint markers as I find they are easier to use and stay in the lines. Start from the center and paint your petal layers outward. Add dots, doodles, tiny details, whatever feels fun. This is your moment to shine or sparkle or just paint over the mistake and move on. Remember, if the design looks questionable halfway through, that's normal. Mine always looks weird until the last few paint marker strokes suddenly pull everything together. Trust the process. If you're stuck, just walk away and return later. Design inspiration loves to show up fashionably late. Once you are happy with your design, it is time to seal the clay. I find Mod Podge works nicely to protect everything. Cut a piece of cotton cord, loop it through the top hole, and add a bead or two for style. Give it a little tug. If it doesn't fall apart, congratulations. You're basically an engineer now. Time for the copper wire. If you want to learn how I made this copper design, I will link the tutorial in the description below. Look at that instant artsy flair. Copper wire solves everything except laundry. Give your piece a final look, admire your masterpiece, and hang it on the wall where everyone will ask, "Did you buy that?" And you get to say, "Nope, I made it." Cue the proud crafter glow. Number 3 is one of my favorites, a mixed media air plant holder. We're starting with some good old self-drying clay. Honestly, this stuff feels like Play-Doh for grown-ups. It took me a few tries to get a long shape that was the same height. I thought this step would be a breeze, boy was I wrong. Once I finally got it, I started by putting the hole for the plant, then bending it around the glass was a piece of cake. We're shaping it into this soft teardrop. Or if your shape turns out a little lopsided, let's just call it organic modern design, okay? Nobody needs to know. Next up, I am removing the glass and adding the holes for the string. Not sure why I didn't film this. After the clay has dried for a couple of days, I decided to take some very fine grade sandpaper to smooth out any imperfections. Now I'm dressing it up with decoupage. This leafy, ocean-toned pattern makes me feel like I'm at a tropical resort, minus the sunburn and overpriced cocktails. What pattern would you choose? Florals, abstracts, or maybe tiny tacos? Drop your wildest idea in the comments. Pro tip: the more abstract or busy the pattern, the less it will show any imperfections. Now here's where my plan took a detour. Originally, this was supposed to be clay and wood, simple and minimal, but then I saw my copper wire stash and thought, ooh, shiny, and suddenly I'm making spirals like I'm auditioning for Jewelry 101. Honestly though, it gives the whole piece this artsy pop. Tell me I'm not the only one who starts a project with one idea and ends up somewhere completely different. Happens to me every single time. To be able to hang the holder and to add some boho accents, we're adding macramé cord. Nothing fancy, just some simple knots to secure everything and give it that handmade boho vibe. Knots are basically crafting hugs, firm but cozy. And now the star of the show, our little air plant. These guys are like the introverts of the plant world. Low maintenance, no soil required, and just a quick misting to keep them happy. Slide it into its cozy little spot, and boom, you've got living art. And there it is, our clay, copper, decoupage, and macrame air plant holder. A mashup of textures, colors, and just enough whimsy to make people say, "Wait, you actually made that?" Next up, we have this beautiful wood copper macrame mirror.
Some of you have asked me, where do my craft ideas come from? Honestly, it can be from anywhere. Sometimes it's a color combination I see, a pattern in nature, or even just a random thought that pops up in my head while I'm doing something completely unrelated. For this project, I really wanted to combine wood, copper, and macrame cord. I just love the texture and the warmth of the wood, the beauty, almost industrial feel of copper, and the softness and versatility of macrame. The initial idea is just the starting point. Then comes the real fun, figuring out how to actually make it work. And with this particular combination, I hit a bit of a design hurdle. My main obstacle was figuring out how to give the copper and the macrame cord enough structure so that it wouldn't just flop over when hanging on the wall. Copper wire can be quite pliable, and the macrame cord, by its nature, is soft and flexible. I needed to find a way to incorporate them in a way that was both aesthetically pleasing and structurally sound. I played around with a few different approaches, and honestly, this stage, the problem solving, the figuring out how, that's what I enjoy most about crafting. It's like a puzzle, and the different materials and techniques are the pieces you have to work with. You know, it's funny. Years ago, when I was working as a full-time artisan, I got really good at making certain things. I could streamline the process, and it definitely paid the bills. Being able to predict the outcome and optimize my time was essential for the business model. But after a while, it started to feel less like creating and more just like churning out products. The joy I initially found in the process slowly faded. I felt more like a cog in the machine than a creator bringing something new into the world. That feeling of being more of a factory worker than a creator really took a toll on my passion. That's why now I prioritize the journey of discovering in my crafting. I love the initial phase of coming up with something completely new, the challenge of figuring out how to bring that vision to life for the first time. It's definitely more time-consuming, and there are often more hiccups along the way, but the satisfaction of creating something unique, something that hasn't existed before, is so much more fulfilling for me. So what do you think of this combination of wood, copper, and macrame? Have you ever combined unexpected materials in your own projects? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below.
And finally, this super cute boho macrame wall hanging or air plant holder. You'll need a wooden hoop or ring, some macrame cord or cotton rope, a bit of copper wire for the accent swirl, and of course, an air plant. These little guys are lightweight, so no soil, no fuss. Just give them a mist once in a while and they'll be happy. Start by taking your cord and looping it evenly around the hoop. I'm alternating white cord at the top with a natural beige at the bottom for a pretty two-tone look. Think of it as giving the hoop a little macrame sweater. Now, the trick here is consistency, but don't stress if it isn't absolutely perfect. I found using a little dab of glue keeps the string from moving around, so it maintains more consistency. Honestly, I kind of like it when the cords aren't lined up like soldiers. It gives it that handmade, rustic vibe, like it was made by a very chill person, not a robot. And besides, when someone compliments it, you can just say, "Oh, those little quirks? That's called artistic character." A little tip. Keep some tension on the cord as you wrap so it doesn't flop around later. If you notice a gap, Just scoot it over, kind of like rearranging people in a group photo until everyone fits. You know how someone always blinks right when the camera goes off? Yeah, cords do the same thing. They like to slide around when you're not looking. I also love mixing the cord colors here because it gives you this natural ombre effect without having to dye anything. And it's kind of satisfying watching it transform from plain hoop to this textured, cozy piece of decor. You'll start to see it coming together and think, wow, I made that with just some string and patience, and maybe a few cups of coffee. And hey, if you're rapping along with me right now, take a second to breathe, shake out your hands, and remember, it's wall art, not a math test. Crafting is supposed to be fun. Now for the fun part. Let's dress this up with a little copper wire. I'm starting by twisting the wire into a spiral right at the top. Think of it like making a tiny cinnamon roll, except this one won't disappear with your morning coffee. From there, bend the wire down into a decorative accent. But don't worry, this isn't what's actually holding the plant. It's more of a stylish headpiece, like jewelry for your macrame hoop. Now, here's where we get a little hands-on. We're going to create a string cradle to hold the air plant. I'm using 3 cords tied around the hoop, spaced out like a triangle. This part can be a little tricky because you want all 3 cords to stay even so your plant sits upright, not like it's sliding off a hammock after a long nap. The trick? Adjust, adjust, and adjust again. Pull on one cord, then the next, until the little triangle feels balanced. Think of it like tuning a guitar, except instead of music, you're making a comfy hammock for your plant baby. Once the cords are balanced, tie them securely, and you'll see this little pocket forming, perfect for tucking in your air plant. Give it a test by placing the plant inside and making sure it sits snugly. If it wobbles a bit, just keep shifting the cords until it feels secure. Trust me, your plant will appreciate the extra effort. Next, do a little macrame above the loop. I am using both string colors to tie everything together. Now you've got a boho chic air plant holder. Hang it on the wall by a sunny window or gift it to your plant-loving friend who kills succulents but swears they'll keep this one alive. And that's it. Super simple, budget-friendly, and it adds a little natural vibe to any space.
Thanks for coming on this crafting journey with me. And remember, stay crafty and keep on twirling.